the frustrating part about it is like watching guys do more than what they need to.
At times, I don't recognize just because it's not who I am naturally. With the emotion and the energy.
Remember when the 76ers had James Harden and Joel Embiid dominating? Now they're getting crushed with Paul George. What happened? The 76ers are near last place, and fans are furious. Did one bad trade destroy their championship dreams? We'll show you the exact moment it all fell apart. Do you recall when everyone believed that Paul George was the 76ers' missing component? The excitement was genuine. Joel Embiid couldn't stop grinning. Sports analysts were referring to Philadelphia as the team to beat, and fans were going berserk. For the city of brotherly love, it seemed as though Christmas had arrived early. However, as the season began, things quickly became ugly. Terribly, terribly nasty. Not only is Paul George doing poorly, but he is also playing some of his worst basketball ever. Do you remember the highlight videos we anticipated? Yes, they now resemble lowlight reels more. Let's examine PG-13 statistics, and I assure you that they are not attractive. He only scores 16 points each game on average. He hasn't been that low since his freshman season. What about his shooting? He seems to have lost his basketball skills. Less than 40% of his shots are being hit. That's shocking for a guy who was once a walking bucket. Contrast that with his best years spent with the Pacers or even the Clippers. George was shooting over 45%, scoring 28 points a game, and shutting out opponents on defense. Right now, he finds it difficult to stay up with backup players. However, it goes beyond George's individual statistics. The team as a whole is suffering because of his difficulties. The offense appears awkward, as if they are attempting to solve a Rubik's Cube while wearing a blindfold. Because defenses don't respect George's shooting, Embiid is being double-teamed more often.
I'm gonna read it. I think we understand it. Like, it don't matter who has the ball, who gets the shot. We play the right way. The game is gonna dictate who gets the shots.
I won't even begin to discuss their defense. They seem to be playing musical chairs outside. The Philadelphia Big Three's fantasy is becoming a nightmare. Fans are discussing trade deadlines in place of victory parades. It appears that the 76ers are currently holding a losing hand after making a big investment in Paul George. You think that's horrible, though? Things worsen. Much worse. Because the basketball gods chose to throw the 76ers another curveball while George is having trouble. Additionally, this could be their season's game-changing blow. What could be more bizarre than PG-13's poor performance? The injury bug is really biting. Everyone is invited, with the exception of the 76ers' best players, as if the basketball gods have chosen to throw a huge party in Philadelphia. Let's take a moment to discuss Tyrese Maxey. With 39.7 minutes per game, he led the league in minutes played and was on fire. He was the team's energy booster. He never stopped pushing. Then, suddenly, he is out due to a strained hamstring versus the Clippers. The 76ers suddenly lost their ignition plug. But hold on, things get worse. The big man himself, Joel Embiid, is also having trouble getting a break. You can see he's not fully recovered from his left knee injury while he's on the court. Seeing a lion with a thorn in its paw is similar to that. It's still deadly, but it hurts. Imagine attempting to foster team dynamics when your lineup is changing more frequently than the content of a teenager's TikTok account. You're playing with Maxey and Embiid one day. The next moment, you're wondering where everyone went and scanning the area. The 76ers are having trouble finding their groove, which is understandable. The 76ers bench is as thin as a piece of Philadelphia cheesesteak, and this frequent shift is revealing a serious issue. No one steps up to fill such enormous shoes while the stars are out. The squad seems to have placed all of their eggs in 3 very vulnerable baskets. Could it get any worse? Is undoubtedly on your mind. Hold on to your jerseys, though, because it might happen. There is no obvious path out of the 76ers' current predicament.
Start building, towards not just, now, but just the future of me being in Philadelphia.
Happy where my career has turned out, but it's just staying true to myself, and I think I've done that.
Every game involves speculating on who will be fit enough to participate. So, did Paul George actually ruin the season for the 76ers? It isn't that easy. Although he isn't performing up to par, these injuries have made an already dire position worse. It's like attempting to navigate a ship in the middle of a storm with a damaged mast. Good luck. The worst part is that there's more to this tale than misfortune and injury. Beyond what we see on the floor, the 76ers have more serious issues. And believe me when I say that the most startling aspect of all may be what goes on behind the scenes. Do you recall your parents saying, "We need to talk"? The 76ers experienced a similar incident, although it was far worse. The team meeting that Kyle Lowry convened didn't go as well as he had intended, to put it mildly. Feelings were wounded, certain words were said, and now we're all left wondering, is this Philly's end? This is what transpired. Being the seasoned player that he is, Lowry wanted to talk about the team's difficulties. It makes sense, doesn't it? However, when Tyrese Maxey chose to criticize Joel Embiid, things took a crazy turn. Yes, you heard correctly. Maxey reprimanded the big man for his tardiness, claiming it was affecting the team's morale and leadership. Now, picture yourself as Embiid at that same time. In front of everyone, your young teammate is criticizing you. That must hurt. Embiid, too? It didn't make him pleased. The worst part is that he was even more angry that the meeting's specifics had been disclosed. His words were blunt. "Whoever leaked that is a real piece of shit." It's not all horrible though, so hold on. In fact, Embiid enjoys hearing what he needs to improve on. He stated, "I like when people are telling me what I'm not doing good, what I need to do better. So perhaps there is still hope for this team? But here's the deal. The court is being severely impacted by all of this drama."
We got an unbelievable locker room. We never start chipping at each other when things were getting rough. We just, had to find a way to get out of the hole.
It's all Phil. He cut you off. Now you attack. You know what I mean? You take your time. Yeah, you're gonna take your time in the game.
You can sense the stress and the team's wobbly appearance. They seem to be attempting to play basketball while being quite cautious. Furthermore, with all of these trade rumors circulating, that locker area is like a pressure cooker. What's crazy to you? Some claim that the entire situation has been exaggerated. It seems that immediately following the encounter, Embiid and Maxey were laughing together. Who knows what's actually happening then? The big question, though, is whether this marks the end of the current 76ers lineup. It's definitely looking rough. Something has to give because the squad is collapsing from the inside out. But hold on, you believe that to be the entire story? No, this puzzle still has one more piece, and it's a doozy, I assure you. $212 million. The 76ers' latest headache is costing them that much. The worst part is that it's not just about the money. For years to come, Philly's hopes of winning a title could be dashed by this mega deal. Is there a way out of this problem, and how did they get there? Let's dissect Paul George's enormous contract. Over 4 years, we're talking about $212 million. That's around $53 million annually. Take a moment to process that. The 76ers are paying superstar-level salaries to a player who plays as if he has no idea which end of the court he is on. Now, contrast that pay with PG-13's on-court performance. Do you recall the statistics we discussed earlier? Shooting less than 40% with 16 points each game? That's hardly exactly production worth $53 million. Purchasing a Ferrari only to discover that it can hardly outrun a golf cart is like that. However, things worsen. The 76ers' future is being sucked away by this contract, which isn't just hurting them now. In the trade market, they are unable to make any significant moves. They are unable to sign fresh talent. They seem to be working with one hand tied behind their back while attempting to assemble a championship team. And who is actually in suffering, you ask? Men such as Tyrese Maxey, even if he's having a fantastic season and giving it his best, he's not even close to earning that much money. He and the other players who are genuinely showing up must be frustrated.
Exert themselves this early into the season. My job was to kind of help and make this thing as easy as possible for everybody around me.
And after defensively, getting stops, allowing Tyrese to push and run the team, I just think we could just be dominant.
What is the long-term harm in this case? The years ahead will be salary cap hell. For many seasons to come, the 76ers may find it difficult to assemble a competitive squad around Embiid and Maxey. The paint is taking a very long time to cure, as if they've painted themselves into a corner. Can we get out of this mess? George is difficult to trade. Which team would want to sign that big contract for a guy who isn't performing up to par? Although it's easier said than done, there has been discussion about maybe altering the agreement. Let's face it, who wants to forfeit guaranteed millions? Both sides would have to agree. The 76ers appear to be losing severely at the moment after taking a significant risk on Paul George. They could spend years trapped in this financial quagmire. What comes next then? Is it time to blow it all up and start over? Or can they make it better? Paul George was the subject of a huge risk by the 76ers, which is now backfiring. This season is becoming a complete catastrophe. It's like a perfect storm of terrible luck and poorer choices combined with injuries, controversy, and that big contract. You have to wonder if Philadelphia is entering a new era. Embiid is getting older, and now they have to deal with this George predicament. The speed at which things may shift in the NBA is mind-blowing. What comes next then? Is it possible for the 76ers to perform a miracle and save this ship? Or is it time to start over by pressing the reset button? It's a difficult decision, but something has to give. The fans are growing restless as the time ticks away.